I'm going to do the control arms on Cornelius, our Yukon here, and do upper and lower control arms. I'm also going to do the inner tie rods. I did a video a while back where I did, maybe 3 months ago or so, I did the shocks on this, and I said then, like, probably you're going to wish I had done these other things while I was in here, but I didn't have the budget for it at the time, and I didn't really need it. But I've noticed since then there's a kind of a rattly, squeaky noise that happens when you hit, especially small vibrations. The truck needs an alignment. It's just a little off. I noticed when we got new tires put on at the front, driver's side tire was worn a little bit off. So I went to get an alignment, and they said, alignment's not going to stick. You need new inner tie rods, which we'll also do while we're in here, and you need new control arms. The bushings are bad and it won't hold the alignment. Okay, so fast forward a few months later, we're about to head on this big road trip. I still haven't done them, so it's time to get them done. I also say a lot of times in these videos, kind of the idea of this DIY and trying to make you feel a little more empowered, a little more confident, a little less scared maybe of taking on some of these tasks. And the reason is you can save a ton of money. I say this all the time and throw out numbers about what it would cost to get this done at a shop. And I don't really know most of the time. Like it's just when you do all your own work like this, I just don't know what it costs to get work done anymore because I don't do it. It happened to be because I don't have the stuff to do an alignment. So I take it to a shop to get an alignment. And they said, no, we're not going to do it. You need all this other work. And they happily gave me an estimate for that work in case I, wanted to go ahead and get it done. I didn't, but I have the estimate with the actual number. So now this time I can actually tell you for sure how much I saved in doing this myself. I want to show you how to do this, at least how I did it. I did the passenger side already. So we're over here on the driver's side, and I'll kind of show you how I went through it. Give you some of the mistakes I made on that side. I'll walk through those so that you don't make those either. I'll show you where that happened and what it caused. And also, I stay to the end because I'll show you a price breakdown of everything that I bought, the number of hours I spent on this, and the cost it would have cost me if I had gotten it done at the shop. So I'll give you that whole price breakdown. You can see exactly how much you really can save. Spoiler, it's a lot. Before I get too deep into this, though, I do want to say something because people are going to maybe give me a little flack for this. I'm not knocking the shop. It's a local shop run by local people. I've had some work done there. It's a tire shop, but I've had a lot of tire work done there. I don't have a tire machine. So they're good people. They're honest people. This is not a knock on the shop or that they're somehow taking advantage of people. Running an auto shop is expensive. You got pay mechanics, you got insurance, you got taxes, you got, right? Anybody that's ever run a small business can tell you how expensive it is to run a small business. So for me, this isn't like, boy, they're really ripping people off. No, it is expensive to do. My point is, if you can't afford it, this is how you can get it done on a budget. If you can afford it and you want to support your local shop, or you just don't want to do this crap, well, by all means, find a good, reputable mechanic or auto shop in your area that's like these guys they're a service industry, and they often are very much a service to their community as well. You see their little ads on the programs at your local high school football games. You'll see them in parades. You'll see them in, they tend to be people who support their community and support their local schools, local churches, local charities. So they all got families to feed too. So if you can, I'm not saying don't take your car to a shop, just find a good one. This is a good one. So that's all the more reason why, we're talking about how much we're going to save here, because there are other ones that would take advantage of someone and be even worse than this. So anyway, I just want to say this is not a knock on the shop or shops in general. Just try to give you an example of some money that you can save. We're willing to take on some of this work yourself. Okay, now let's dive in. This is your upper control arm, and then down here is the lower control arm. Both of those have to be replaced. I can see here the bushings, they're pretty bad. They're pretty cracked. The lowers don't look too bad down here. Back in here, there's the bushings back in here. I don't know what the ball joint looks like down here. And each of them have a ball joint of sorts. There's a part here, a little stud that goes down into the hub and the spindle. And another one, the lower control arm, also goes down. So both of them kind of go like this down it, and so this sits up in there. And so all of this has to come off. The only thing I don't have to take off is the shock. It would be easier without the shock in the way. In fact, while I had the shocks out, this would have been much easier to do at the time. But you don't have to take the shock out. It just gets a little hard to get these bolts out back here on the upper control arm, but it can be done. So the other thing I'm doing while I'm in here is doing the brakes. So since I got to take the brakes all off, the caliper's got to come off, the caliper bracket's got to come off. The passenger side brakes were totally gone, so it needs new pads, and this rotor's got a nice gouge in it right there, which is not good. So I'm going to replace those as well. All right, let's get the caliper off first. That is I believe it's an 18 millimeter on the back side here. It's 18 or 19? 19. These usually come off pretty easy. But today it's not gonna, for some reason. Probably because the last time I did this 2 years ago, I over tightened them. Let's try slightly more juice. Let's try removing it instead of tightening it. There we go. Normally when I'm doing this, I'll just prop this caliper up here, kind of like that. As soon as I gotta take the control arm off, I ain't gonna work. And you don't want to let it hang by its hose. So I use like this is just a little tie I have. You can use a piece of wire, you can use a bungee cord, you can use whatever you got. Like a piece of Romex wire works pretty good. Like some 12 gauge wire or 14 gauge wire if you've got some laying around. And then I'm also going to disconnect all this. I'm going to do it right now while this hose is just kind of pinched. I don't want that to pinch off. Before you take this bracket off, undo this wire and this connector up here. Trouble with this on the other side, this connector is kind of finicky, like it doesn't press. I think it's got to come out, but it doesn't like to. Yeah, I'll take that out, and then I was able to just push on this connector and take it loose. I didn't do that on the other side. I forgot all about this, and I took this all off. And then I was fighting this wire while trying to hold this heavy system. So take that wire off first. There's another connector down here. Now we got all that loose. We'll take this off. That's a 10 millimeter. Oh, the other thing I gotta do, I almost forgot about this too, is pop this sensor off. This is your ride control. So it detects your ride level. And typically would do some dampening with the shocks, but I don't have dampening shocks on here anymore. This should just pop off. It's gonna feel like it's gonna break, but it won't. There it goes. And this is on a little thing, you just tuck it up there. That's loose, that's loose. Okay, let me take this all the way out. There, that's out of the way. Okay, now let's finish taking this caliper bracket off. That is also just 2 bolts in the back. One thing you can do to make this easier is turn the wheel a little bit. So then you can get better access back here, and you can get things like impacts, which is super handy. The pad's off here. There's quite a bit of pad left on this one. The passenger side, there was like no pad left, which is another indicator of some wonkiness with alignment when you've got uneven wear. So another reason to go get that alignment fixed. Get this rotor off. Alright, now there's a bolt down here and down here on the hub, as well as the tie rod end over here. So that's going to come off next. Rotate this wheel back, I think, back to straight. This tie rod end has a castle nut on it with a cotter pin. So you gotta undo that. There. And if you're careful, you can reuse these. I'm not always that careful, but I believe that's a good size of that one. That is 22, so it's 21. Because the tie rod end is fairly new, I don't want to like jam a fork in there and ruin the boot. So I'm trying to just get it loose. So just a couple of taps with a big hammer and we're good to go. Alright, so this is now free of those things. So now we're going to take the upper and lower ball joint, upper and lower control arms loose. The top one is, I believe, also an 18. Is it 18? No, that's 21. What am I 8? Can I never keep track of things? Face this your way. You also want to be careful taking these off because this thing will just drop on you. So I'll loosen them up a little bit, but not totally take everything off until I'm ready. Let's see, and then the bottom is bigger, 24. Just hand thread those back on there. So that when I knock it loose, it doesn't fall on my leg. So like I said with the tie rod end, using one of these forks makes short work of getting them loose, but it does ruin them. So if you're trying to save it, there's another kit. Usually you can get it like at your local, like one of those tool loaners from your local auto parts store. Looks like a pulley puller type system where it'll grab and then push a rod will push up on the bolt and pop it loose, and it'll save the boot. I don't have one of those. And I don't care if I'm ruining it, so I'm not going to go to the store and get one of those things. I'm just going to jam this fork in here and hit it with a large hammer. Now these can be in here pretty good. I'm a lefty, so I swing better from left to right, like a baseball bat. So I'm going to go from this side, even though there's a lot more over here to break if I miss. Where's my big hammer? There it is. Let me try it from the other side. Maybe work better from this side. And you can actually see what I'm doing. Back just a little bit. Don't want to hit you with a hammer. So just kind of jam this in there. Whew, there it goes. That was a fighter. Holy moly. Tired now. That's one of those puller type kits. Just use your impact on it and drive just yanks it loose. So I kind of wish I had done that, but it's loose. And I got my arm workout for the day. This is probably already loose. Nope. That was much easier. That's how they're supposed to come loose. Okay, so next I got to undo this shock. That is 15 millimeter, if I recall. And I need, well, I have the 15 millimeter. Oh, I think it's 16 on the top, 15 on the bottom, or vice versa. Take the sway bar link off. So this, once we get those bolts loose, this will be free. This is cinched up there. 24. Yep. And it's 18 on this side. This one is got the bigger bolt, the bigger nut on the sway bar side. You can take these brackets off and lower the sway bar down if you want to get access to it with an impact. I just use a crescent wrench on this side and then use the impact on the bolt itself instead of the nut. And that seemed to work just fine. This is 18 on this side. I've lost my 18 impact socket. So I go with a regular socket and hope it doesn't break. So far so good. Oh yeah. Keep in mind, once you loosen this up, the control arm's gonna fall. I'm trying to let it fall on your arm like I just did. And this should just pull right out. So let's do a quick little inspection on this. This one's not bad. Like I said, the lowers weren't too bad. That one's a little bit cracked on the inside, but not terrible. I probably wouldn't have changed them. But since I'm in here doing this, and like I said, I was already in here once and didn't change them then, and I wished I had, because now I'm doing it. If you got this all apart and you can swing it, just do both of them, because otherwise you gotta take all this apart again to do the other one. So now the upper. This is 20 something. Is it 21? I just didn't get down there straight. Yep. Now, before I do this, this is the part you got to be careful of. This upper control arm manages your toe-in alignment. Now mine's a little off, but I don't want to make it worse by really jacking this up. So what I'll do when I do these control arms, I'll take a little bit of nail polish. This is pretty old and it's kind of dried up, but something colorful. So this is like a purple, what is the color here? Twisted pink. And I'll mark a line on the control arm, on the bracket. So there's this pin right here. It's kind of hard to see. Let me get some light in there for you. There's a pin right here, and I'll mark a line where that pin is right here, so then I know how to align it back up, because as this whole thing rotates, it moves the control arm in and out. So I want that to be right where it is, even though, like I said, it's actually probably a little bit off. Although I think it's off on the other side, but and that'll just get me really close. You know, it's hard to get these things perfect lined up, but if you can get it close, it at least buy you some time. You're not ruining everything while you're trying to find a shop that can do the alignment for you. Okay, give that a few minutes to dry, and then we'll tackle the rest of it. All right, 21 on here, 21 millimeter. One of these little wobble sockets, super handy if you have one. Otherwise, you have to get in there by hand. And this one, I don't think I'll be able to get in there without, no. A little PB blaster or WD-40 or whatever lubricant you got also is really helpful here. Tell you one nice thing about living in the South, no salt. I had to do this before when this is all rusted from road salt. It's fused together. Man, that sucks. This bolt will come out fairly easily. That bracket wasn't in the way. There we go. This one can be a little tough because it bumps right into the one side of this one rotation of the spring there. Again, if you push that plate in a little bit so it's not all the way And you just got to pull this out a little and pull that bolt out from behind it. There. Getting it back in is actually a little tougher part, honestly. So there. This one's kind of bad. This one's got definite cracking there. Same thing this side, the bushing's almost gone on that one, the inside. So the uppers definitely need to be done. So again, if you're gonna do one, might as well just do the other. A little dirt in there, clean that out, easier for later. Okay, now we gotta take, because we have to do the tie rods, I gotta take that off too. The inner tie rod is kind of a pain sometimes. First thing I want to do though, I need to get the outer tie rod off. And that I have to do with this because I don't have this lock nut or adjustment nut. I don't know what you call this, but that's got to come off first. Actually, be easier if I could hold that, but I need 2 crescent wrenches and I only have 1. There we go. Just to loosen this out of the way. I'm going to take this off. So when you take this off, count the number of rotations. So that way you get it back in pretty much the same spot. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19 and a little plus. Now I'm going to take this boot off. There's a clamp here. This nut all the way back off. Because it will get in the way. Save the clamp because I want to reuse it. And then in the back here, there's another clamp that you won't be able to reuse. It's got a little bit of a kind of a loop to it, and you'll be able to see it when if you look down there, and you get a screwdriver in that loop and pop it, and that'll pop the clamp loose, but it also ruins the clamp, so you don't get to reuse that one. So we'll just use a zip tie when we get there. You can see what I mean there. It's got that loop here, and it's just sort of just it's usually clamped on with a machine, and it's a one-time use. So we'll pitch that, and then we just kind of rotate. This boot's on there pretty good, so which is good. You want it to be. You want to keep dirt and crap out of there. So pull off the back. And just keep working at it. Again, someone doesn't want to come loose. There it goes. I need access to the inner tie rod. So let me get you on the other side here. I don't know if you can see that very well from there, but I'll get you over here where you can see it. Okay, so here's your inner tie rod. You see this is pretty floppy, so it is time to replace it. There's a couple of tools that you can use for this. There you go. What I have always used before is just a pipe wrench. Just a regular standard pipe wrench. And if you got clearance in here, you just get this on there and you take it off, it's like a pipe. The problem in this case is this really close to the frame rail there, and I don't have enough to rotate. And I can come around this way, but I really don't have any leverage trying to push up against the frame this way. So that works pretty well though if you can get the clearance in there. So I got a couple of these tools to try out. This is one of them. I did not have very good luck with this tool, and it basically kind of like a pipe wrench. It clamps on to the tie rod end, and you rotate this like a pipe wrench or like a oil filter wrench, kind of the same concept. I'm going to try this one. I did not have very good luck with this one on the other side, but it is a little more, if it works, it's a little more convenient. My problem was it just like that, it just slips. On the back side of this, there is some flat spots, and maybe you can get it hooked onto those, or you're going to be able to get a wrench to it, but it doesn't seem to want to stay. so far my experience with it is suboptimal. We'll see if we can get it to work here. There we go. The other option is this sort of a U-bolt teeth on the bottom and a little bit of teeth on the inside of the U to grip. And you just put a 3/8 socket in that one, or wrench in that one. And that worked better on the other side for putting it back on. I got it off with a pipe wrench, but putting it back on, I ran into the same problem. Obviously, everything in reverse on the other side, where I couldn't tighten it because of the frame rail. So, we'll pitch that. All right. Now we got everything off. Now we just go back in reverse, put it all back on. So we'll start with the tie rod. And mostly, what order you do these in doesn't matter that much. I don't see a big advantage one or the other than this part, with nothing in the way, is much easier. So I tend to work my way from back to front. So while things in front are not here, work in the back. And then you work your way out. And I tend to work top to bottom, but that's just the way my brain works. So there's no particular reason why you have to go top to bottom, most of the time anyway. Let's get our other tie rod over here. Should have brought all the parts over so to stop getting up and down so much. By the way, all my parts, Moog. Everything I have here today is you know, industry standard, reputable OEM replacement. I'm not doing, you know, Amazon. I mean, I did buy it on Amazon, but I'm not buying super cheap, no name Bob's parts. You know, doing legit parts. So when I talk about the price savings, this is I'm in fact, two of the items on there. Aren't you threading in there? Two of the items on their estimate were Moog parts. So, and two of them were AC Delco. So, even with the AC Delco, I would have saved money buying them online, like from Rock Auto or whatever. But I could get the Moog parts faster because, like I said, we got stuff to do. Why are you not threading in there? I'm gonna stop talking and pay more attention, I guess. It just doesn't wanna. There it goes. Good grief. There are torque specs to these, and if you care, look them up. I don't remember what they all are. Like my typical torque spec is all of it. So I'm just moving them till they ain't moving no more. And that seems to work for me. So this is the pipe wrench thing. See how, well, from this side, this works much easier than trying to fight that tool. From this side, it doesn't work so well. But so on the passenger side, removing it was easier with the pipe wrench. On this side, putting it back on is easier with the pipe wrench. Also, a bigger pipe wrench would be handy because you'd have more leverage, but I can't find my big pipe wrench. That seems like a theme in this. I can't find this tool. But also, it has a longer handle, which gives you some extra leverage, but it's also going to hit the frame over here. So it just, you know, catch-22. So I just tighten it till I can't tighten it no more. Torqued. Slide our boot back on. Just hold it on there once we get all the way up there. So this has got to go over that center piece. It's a little bit thicker. And it's got to go over the steering rack. Flames are in the back. And then I'll just pull this tight. And then reuse the clamp from the front. Oop. Try to get your glove in there. Come on. Now I've done it. There. With the little silly things that fight you sometimes. Okay. So now we'll put our nut back on. Back on, right? 19 turns. Once we start 1, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then run that back. I went that way too far with that nut. And that will lock it back in place. There we go. That's done. All right. I'm going to put the upper control arm back on. Start getting things reinstalled. So here's our new upper. All these have grease fittings. The lower one will have a separate, make sure you don't lose it because it's in a little baggie and you don't want to lose that. Use a rubber mallet or something if you can't get it in there. Sometimes it can be a little snug. So this plate goes here and this bolt is going to go up here. And this is the harder part because it's trying to align this with this in the way. There. This has a flat side to it, so line goes on one way as long as you don't get it backwards, like flipped around. And that's where having the mark on it also comes in handy. So then as you rotate this to line it up, this rotates in and out. So it goes slide, just get a little bit of a slide. Here, see how that rotates? I'm not gonna tighten this all the way down yet because first of all, it doesn't need to be. Second of all, it keeps this moving freely, which is handy. Now, we'll do the other side. Same deal. The bolt comes from the inside and this one's the harder one. But now watch, I've said everything that was easy was hard and everything that's hard is gonna be easy. At least that's what I'm hoping. Yep, that's going in much easier than it did on the other side. I'll get that lined up. Once I get everything hooked up here, that when I have this able to move freely, that's nice, so I can get the spindle back on. And then once everything's there, then I'll tighten everything down. So this goes here, where the bolt goes down. Don't forget, I did a tendency to, just seems like they should sandwich, but they don't. There. So I forgot to mention as you put this all back together, most of these nuts to the top, I don't know if you can tell that on camera, but the top has a bit of a rounded taper to it. The other side is flat. That's the bottom. Flat goes against. It's not like a lug nut where the rounded, the tapered head gets it into a hole. The flat part needs to go against the bracket. You can usually tell too if you take it off. Like you can see the wear ring on it where it hit the washer, and there's nothing on that side. Okay, so that way we have full range of motion here. Get everything put back together. So now, I'm going to get our spindle back up here, hub, whatever you want to call it. So I said my brain tends to work top down. That's true. In this case though, get rid of that cap. You want to go bottom up, at least I do. Hook this on the spindle first. Let's get you moved a little bit farther out of the way. Because once you get on here, you're kind of locked in height. It's hard to get low enough. This hits the shock on the way up. And so get this on first, then it's a lot easier to do the rest of it. I want to put that Zerk fitting on though before I go too far. That is in one of these bags. It's very small. Giant Sasquatch thumbs, so I have a hard time with it. This is a 7mm, I think. But the 9/32 also works. Don't over tighten this. Just snug. As soon as it stops moving, stop tightening. Because they're pretty soft metal. You can easily strip them off. Good enough. Just get it on, and then I'll lift up and get to this and put this not that one, this castle nut on. Get it just high enough. If you need, this is heavy. If you need to, you can use a jack, like with the jack you use to lift the car, up under here to pull that up. It'll make your life just a little easier. So yeah, so that's what I've done here. Just get the jack in there, and then do it too much so that you can't get your shock lined up, and then loosen it. There we go. Get those reattached after I knocked them off. Now reattach the tie rod end. All right, got the tie rod back on. Castle nut put back on, and the cotter pin in. And let's see, now I'm gonna put the sway bar link back on. Oh. That rolled a long ways away. So these are little bushings here. They're like little half bouncy balls, and they hit, if they hit just right, they will go a flying. Okay, let's see my mark here. Mark's a little off. Just got to come out a little bit. I need somewhere else to put this. So like right there. That'd be great. So it's got to go in more. Okay, and then this one over here is way off. Okay, that's got to go way in. There we go. Still more. Okay, let's hook this back up here just to get it out my way. That one is, I think, an 18. Is it 18 or 19? I forget every time. It's not 19. Gotta find a little hole for that cotter pin to go through. There it is. Okay, got that cotter pin. Those are tight, that's tight, these are tight, that one is done, these are not done. All right, this goes back up here to this plug here. All right, let's charge this light back up or get a different light. I can't see anything. Oh, we have light now. Boy, amazing what happens when you have a fully charged light. I don't know if you can hear this. It is like super storming outside. It is so loud. So let's see, where was I? This is good, 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 good. Gotta remember to do the other side. Now put the caliper bracket back on, which is right here. No. Okay, we're gonna edit that part out. Next is the rotor. What are you doing? Great. Okay, now we'll put the bracket on. Now what is your problem? There we go. That's ridiculous. That was a close one. Let's go the right way. Throw a little grease on there. Bring our caliper back up. Done a bunch of these brake jobs. Done a bunch of my video, and I say every time, you know, we use one of these kits here. This does make short work of it. You don't have to use one of these kits. You can use a C-clamp and one of the other pads, one of the old pads. It'll work. It'll compress. But this does make it easier. And they're not that expensive. If you don't have one and you want to use one, a lot of times those local, it's like these other tools, these local, and I gotta compress that even more, parts stores, that's what I'm looking for. These local parts stores will loan them out to you. So use that. Use resources that are available if you have them. And just kind of work back and forth. So this is a two piston brake. Jeez of Pete. I think one was like right outside the door. So you kind of work it in, and then slide this over to this side and do the other side, and just kind of work back and forth till you get it all the way in. Now if you want a full brake video, actually I think I did these brakes 2 years ago, this exact the front brakes on this Yukon. I'll link a video for that if you want to watch more about the specifics of the brakes. We're not doing a brake video today, we were doing control arm video, but we're just going to do brakes while we're in here. So I'll finish this up and we'll bring it back. Okay, put this back up. And clip our wiring back in there. And then hook our sensor back up. There we go. Now make sure you grease everything up when you're done before you call it good. These don't come pre-greased, so you're just gonna pump enough grease in there, I'm about out of grease, to fill that bag, this bushing right here. Once you see it expand out, then you should be good to go. There's the fitting here. And if you're putting new tie rods on, make sure you grease those too. So we're done, right? That's it. It was a lot. This is a big project. There's a lot to it. So it's not one of those where I'll say, see, it's easy. It's not that easy, but it's also not that hard relative to other things. It's all mechanical. So bolt here, nut there, wherever you took off, put it back, you know, and you can do it, right? You can do it. The only part is that alignment part. So that trick helps you with either a paint pen or some nail polish. I like the nail polish because it's got a brush. It sticks to about everything. Sometimes the paint pens get a little bit difficult to write on things, especially if they're dirty and textured and all that kind of stuff. So I find the brush in the nail polish helps. Plus it looks pretty. The hot pink or whatever, something like that, bright green, something that's easy to see on the black or rust or whatever you got. Now, I'm not saying that guarantees I don't need an alignment. In fact, I needed it anyway, so I'll still get an alignment. And you should get an alignment when you're done. This is like really hard to get straight by hand. They got these, fancy lasery machines that get a laser straight. Everything will be fine. You don't want to wear out expensive tires and apparently brake pads from the other side. This is what I was talking about with the brake pads. I'll put the pad down here. So that pad, it's got some life left in it. It's not perfect. It's not great. It still probably needed to be done, but it's not. It didn't even get to the little squealer bar yet. And then you've got this pad. There's almost no pad left on that one. And it's worn a little bit at an angle. I don't know if you better see that because it's so thin. So driver's side, passenger side, which means something's off, right? So I need an alignment anyway. But when you're done with this, it's not gonna be perfect. Go get an alignment to finish the job so you don't have the same problem. Now, usually when I do something like this, I find it's best take a drive around the block a couple times. We'll get the wheels and tires back on and all that, and we'll take this for a test drive. Hit the brakes a few times, a little self-adjust, and then make sure we've got nothing loose. So just a round the block maybe. And then come back and double check some of these connections and make sure that that we got them all tight. I told you if you stuck around here, I'd give you the price breakdown. So here's the shop's estimate. I'm not going to say their name. I'll put a screenshot of it. I'll just blur out their information. This is their prices. Left upper control arm with ball joint assembly, $253.68. I paid $95 for that. Right upper was $273. Why it was $20 more for the right side, I don't know. I also paid $95 for that one. Left lower and right lower, both the same price, $214.23 each. I paid $130 each. And then the inner tie rod for two of them, $127 a piece for $254 total. I paid $70 for both. Like, not each, both. But a third the price. They also charge $30 for shop supplies, which I have. So I'll add that to my cost, let's say. $1,239.97. That's just the parts. My parts, $620. Let's add the $30 for shop supplies, $650. Half. So I saved $600 just in the parts. Now I'm not saying they're overcharging for parts. I actually went and looked at like a couple of the local, like the Advanced AutoZone type places, and their prices for these parts were not like, they were maybe $50 less. So they weren't like severely marking up the prices here. These are retail prices, and we live in a world where we have things like Amazon and Rock Auto, and we can order stuff online and get it cheaper. So I bought all Moog parts, which helps, right? Drop the price a little bit. So that's parts. So labor, obviously labor is free for me, right? I'm not paying anybody to do this. Now, time is money, all that stuff, right? What's your time worth? You got to figure it out for yourself. But I can give a pretty good estimate here of what apparently my time is worth. They don't go break it down by hours. They just put a total amount. So they had control arm removal replacement at $290 for the uppers, $377 for the lowers. The lowers are way easier. I don't know why that costs so much money. Tie rod ends, $261 to replace the tie rod end. And then they did have $115 for the alignment, which I'll still pay them to do. So I'll knock that off that as well. So their labor was $1,042.95. So take off the alignment. We're at, I don't know, that's a lot of math. 1,042 minus 114 is 130, 120. So $1,028. $1,000 just for labor. I saved $1,000 by doing this by myself. Now, like I said, time is money, right? What's your time worth? Well, this was about a 7-hour job. It was 3.5 hours on the passenger side. It was about 3 hours on this side. It took me about 4.5 to do this side because of doing the recording and setting everything up and trying to make sure things are on camera and redoing it because my head blocked the camera, right? So whenever you do this YouTube thing, these projects take a little longer, but it wasn't bad. So let's say even with that, it's 8 hours. 8 hours at $1,000, that's about 120 bucks an hour, $125 an hour. So that's the time. I don't know what a mechanic gets paid anymore, but $125 an hour sounds pretty good to me. So that's what I basically paid myself to do this. And then I get content out of it. And you guys get to enjoy it, or not, whatever. So that's why I always say whenever you can do something by yourself, I always recommend it. Like it's empowering, for one, makes you feel good, you got something done. This feels pretty good. I got this all done all by myself. But it also could save you a boatload of money. If I can help you do that, then that's a win for me as well. So hope that helped you. Hope you learned something as always, and appreciate you guys very much, and we'll see you next time.